the great Congressman Greg Steube joins the program. Congressman, thank you so much again for being on the show. Crazy breaking news. I was gonna jump into one of your colleagues calling Florida a deplorable state, but whoa, Kevin McCarthy. First off, Kevin McCarthy saying, "See you later." What does this mean for Republicans in the House?
Yeah, it's a special election, so it's obviously that seat's not going to be taken by a Democrat, but you're losing another member where you have such a slim majority. And I agree with you. I didn't vote to oust George Santos for a number of reasons, but one of it was we have a 4-vote majority. Now we have a 3-vote majority. Now with McCarthy gone, we have a 2-vote majority. Bill Johnson out of Ohio has announced he's leaving in February, so that'll give us a 1-vote majority to be able to just conduct business. And you have absences. People get sick, like literally right before I got on this show. There's a member of Congress who just tweeted, a Republican member of Congress who just tweeted that he has cancer, but he's going to continue to work. So with a 1-vote majority, somebody's sick, somebody isn't able to show up. If all the Democrats are here, they're going to have, our leadership is going to have to be very, very cautious about even opening up the floor for business. Because if there is a day where there's more Democrats on the floor than Republicans, this majority rules. And they can file a motion to vacate the chair. And then they can have their own speaker election if they have the numbers that day. So it'll make it very, very difficult to govern, not just procedurally and getting business through, but you lose one guy. I mean, we're talking about, I would love to open up the impeachment inquiry and have a vote for that on the floor. You have, so we're now down to 3 votes. George Santos would have voted for that impeachment inquiry. We're down to 3 votes. I've heard that Ken Buck is a no on that, so now we've lost him. So now you can only lose 1 vote to get a very important bill like opening up an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden based on all the evidence that we've gotten to move forward. And you barely have enough people, depending on who's going to be here what day, to get business done and do the work for the American people that they sent us up here to do.
This is crazy. So if you did open up the floor for an impeachment vote, you're saying that Democrats, if they were smart tactically, and we know at the very least Nancy Pelosi is a power-wielding tactician, that they could get their own speaker across the finish line if Republican leadership isn't really tightened up.
They're going to have to pay attention to the numbers of voting present members we have every single day, because it's majority rules on the House floor. So if they open up the House for business and we have 5 guys that are, at home for various reasons and not up here doing work, and they have all of their people here, you run a significant risk of them being able to railroad you on the floor procedurally and then put in their people and vacate the chair because they'll have the votes to do it because majority rules. So it's absolutely a very dangerous situation to be in with such a slim majority. And then you've got Bill Johnson leaving in February. If somebody gets sick, somebody gets hurt, and they can't show up to the job, you've got real challenges where you can't even conduct business, because if you open up the floor and there's more Democrats than Republicans, they may try to take and vacate the chair.
Goodness gracious. This is why we can't have nice things. I mean, honestly, this is why we can't have nice things. It often drives me insane that Republicans can't coalesce around a unified mission. Why is that?
I think ultimately it's because we have a very diverse conference. I'm a very conservative Republican. I have 100% voting records from all the conservative different entities here in Washington. But you have members who represent districts that are in D+16 districts. And so they're very cautious to do things that are conservative because they're afraid that they're going to lose. And I submit to you that we need to get beyond that and do what's best for the American people. Republicans put you in office to put you up here. And making those type of calculations is a mistake, because I believe what happens if you don't act like a Republican when you come up here and you don't act conservatively, if you don't do the type of things that you told your voters you were going to do, your Republican base isn't going to show up for you. So it isn't because you've gone to the center and, they're trying to get Democrats to vote for them. No, your base isn't going to show up for you. And Democrats aren't going to vote for you in a general election, especially in a presidential year, and you're going to lose your seat.
So Republicans want Joe Biden investigated. They, at the very least, like the people, and polling shows this again and again and again, people see that he is corrupt. In spite of all of the psyops that have been run against some of the revelations from the Ways and Means Committee that I know that you were on, people are polling at like 70 and 80% saying, yeah, totally, Joe Biden had his fingers in the pies of these businesses and is indeed corrupt. Now there are new releases from the Ways and Means Committee. Newly released evidence underscores Joe Biden's excessive use of secret email addresses to communicate with his son's business associates. 78-page report on the probe is here from your committee. And this is demonstrable evidence, but you're saying that you're going to have a hard time moving forward with any of this, given the current state of the House.
Yeah, Ken Buck, I think, has said publicly that he's a no on an impeachment inquiry. So McCarthy said he's leaving at the end of the year. We have one more week of business next week. It's my understanding from discussions that they want to bring the impeachment inquiry vote next week. So Kevin's still here next week. Ken Buck's a no. They kicked out George Santos. So now we have a 3-vote majority. So you're going to have to make sure. So if Ken Buck's a no, we only have a 2-vote spread. If one other person flips or doesn't want to vote for it that's in a tough district, we won't even be able to get that passed. And you have overwhelming evidence that Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses and broke federal law.
It really will seem like it will be, to me, the greatest potential loss of energy and momentum if Republicans do not get something done on the impeachment front against Joe Biden. I don't know how long it will take for the Republican base to forgive the Congress for not being able to tighten up and like move forward. And this has been my biggest criticism. I've been very public about this. I've caught hell for this. Very public. My biggest criticism against the motion to vacate was that it completely scuttled all of the work that was being done on the front to investigate Joe Biden and took the misdirection, which the corporate press were loving, and pointed it at infighting instead of at Joe Biden.
Yep, 100%. And I filed impeachment proceedings, an impeachment resolution on Joe Biden months ago. I think it was in May or June. I filed it because the evidence that we had established at that point, to me, was overwhelming that he violated 18 USC 201. And now you just have, it just keeps building. So some of the information we released yesterday, 327 emails was sent from then Vice President Joe Biden while he's vice president to other actors that were involved in the business dealings of Hunter Biden. And he said all along, hey, there was a wall between myself and my son's business dealings. That is a complete and absolute lie. And on top of that, he was using fictitious email addresses. Like one of them is Robin Ware or something at Gmail or whatever. He's using fictitious email addresses to communicate with Hunter Biden. And he's CCing people in the vice president's office. And then there's a huge uptick of him emailing Eric Schwerin, who was involved in orchestrating all of these businesses in Ukraine right before his Ukraine trip, right after his Ukraine trip. We now have, because of all the investigations of the committees, evidence of over $24 million that his family profited off of all these foreign entities and business dealings. And now we have evidence that he himself has received money from some of these accounts and from his brother and from Hunter and all these different things that just released 2 days ago was oversight. The LLC that was taking money from the Chinese Communist Party energy company, he got money directly from that. So you have a whole bunch of evidence that he committed crimes. And for anyone, I mean, it's shocking to me that Democrats wouldn't see what's going on here and not want to impeach him for the conduct that he's committed.
Yeah, but unlike the Republican Party, for Democrats, it's like just pure control, wielding of power. And so they get nothing from attacking their own. Bob Menendez is sitting with gold bars rattling around in his shorts in the Senate from Egypt, and he's still allowed on the Foreign Relations Committee.
Not only is he still allowed on the Foreign Relations Committee, he's the chair. He's able to go into security briefings with a top secret clearance and help his friends from Egypt. I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, you can't run a country with such differing standards of governance. You can't do it. There has to be some type of ground where we all agree, and there isn't anymore. And it is stunning, and it is stunning. You know, it's interesting because it's like this was the biggest, potentially one of the things that lost Hillary Clinton the election, was calling Trump supporters a batch of deplorables. There's no way it wasn't seen as like a big misstep, and you shouldn't have done it. And it like was dumb for her to do that. Yet yesterday, one of your colleagues was saying that people from Florida are deplorables, and from Texas. And she's from Texas. Okay. So she's an elected representative from Texas. I want to play you this clip, and I'd love to get your response to Representative Crockett.
In fact, Ms. Perry, I know your organization, the Heritage Foundation, loves Texas. Ooh, they love Texas. They always sending us some nonsense bills that somehow set this country on the wrong trajectory. They send them to Texas. They send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank.
So is Florida a deplorable state, Congressman? You're from Florida.
We say we have freedom in Florida, and that's why people are flocking there every single day. We had 1.1 million people who moved in there in the last year. We have thousands of people every day that are moving to Florida. And why is that? It's not because of just the weather. It's because we have a good tax climate where there's not an income tax, where we have a positive business tax climate where you have freedom. You're not going to have to worry about the state government coming down and telling you to shut down your business or force you to wear masks or force you to take a vaccine. And people all across the country have seen that. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me at events and said, hey, I'm from Virginia. Hey, I'm from Michigan. Hey, I'm from California. And we moved here so that my son or daughter could go to school in person, in class. We moved here so that our business could be successful, not taxed at 60%. We moved here because we know Florida stands for freedom. And the legislature will continue to move in that direction. It's overwhelmingly run by Republicans, and that's why we're so successful.
Weird to talk about your own state like that, though. She's from Dallas. She's calling her state a deplorable state. What, like, seems like risky. Let's see if it pays off. But yeah, that's an interesting tactic there.
I serve with some interesting people up here in Congress.
Yeah. Oh man. Thank God for C-SPAN, or maybe not. Like it's terrifying, quite frankly, to watch. Congressman, thank you so very much for being on the program. Everybody needs to go follow the Congressman at Rep. Greg Steube, at Rep. Greg Steube. 82,000 people, can't be wrong, from the great state of Florida. God bless you, Congressman.
You too. Thanks for having me.